There are moments when someone comes into your mind for no clear reason. You try to ignore it, but the feeling stays with you. It quietly returns during ordinary moments, making you wonder if there is more to the story than you can easily explain. Sometimes life moves so fast that important emotions become hidden behind busy schedules, unanswered questions, and daily responsibilities. When everything becomes loud, it is easy to miss the quiet feelings that deserve your attention. Slowing down for a moment can help you notice thoughts and emotions that have been waiting patiently beneath the surface. You may have crossed paths with someone who left a lasting impression on your heart. Maybe they were once very close to you. Maybe they are still part of your life in some way, or maybe distance has grown between you over time. Whatever your situation may be, certain connections have a way of staying in our memories long after circumstances change. Not every person expresses emotions in the same way. Some people speak openly about what they feel, others keep everything inside, even when those feelings become impossible to ignore. Their silence is not always a sign that nothing is there. Sometimes it simply reflects uncertainty, fear, or the struggle to understand emotions that feel larger than expected. You may have noticed someone becoming quiet after moments that once felt warm and natural. At first, everything seemed easy. Conversations flowed without effort. Time together felt comfortable, and there was a sense of understanding that required very few words. Then, little by little, something changed. Replies became less frequent. Distance slowly appeared where closeness once existed. When that happens, it is natural to search for answers. The mind begins filling empty spaces with possibilities. You replay conversations, wonder whether you said something wrong, and question every small detail. Many people have experienced this cycle of uncertainty. It is part of being human. Sometimes the explanation is simple. People carry personal challenges that are invisible to everyone around them. They may be dealing with fears, responsibilities, past disappointments, or emotions they have not yet learned to manage. Those hidden struggles can affect how they respond to relationships, even when they genuinely value another person. There are people who become uncomfortable when they start caring deeply about someone. Instead of moving closer, they step back. Instead of explaining what they feel, they create space. It can seem confusing from the outside, especially when their actions appear to contradict the warmth they once showed. Psychologists have often discussed how vulnerability can feel risky. Opening your heart means accepting the possibility of being hurt, misunderstood, or rejected. For some people, those possibilities feel overwhelming. Rather than facing them directly, they choose distance because it seems safer than emotional exposure. Carl Jung explored the idea that meaningful relationships often reveal parts of ourselves that we did not fully recognize before. When two people connect in a genuine way, they can become mirrors for one another. They begin to notice strengths, fears, hopes, and old emotional patterns that had remained hidden for years. That process can be both beautiful and uncomfortable. Feeling deeply understood is something many people hope for, yet it can also be frightening. Being truly seen means there is no place to hide behind old habits or carefully built emotional walls. Perhaps you have met someone who seemed confident on the outside but quietly carried doubts within themselves. Outward appearances rarely tell the whole story. A person can smile, laugh, and appear completely in control while privately questioning whether they are worthy of the connection they have found. If someone begins pulling away after becoming emotionally close, it does not automatically mean they have stopped caring. Every situation is different, and no one can know another person's heart with certainty. However, fear, uncertainty, and unresolved emotional struggles can sometimes cause people to create distance even when a relationship matters deeply to them. That possibility does not provide all the answers, but it can offer a different perspective. Instead of assuming every silence is rejection, it may be worth remembering that people often fight battles they never describe. Their actions are shaped by experiences that others cannot always see. Real emotional connections rarely follow a perfect path. They include moments of closeness, uncertainty, learning, and growth. Sometimes people need time to understand themselves before they can fully understand what another person means to them. As you continue listening, Keep an open mind. Think about your own experiences rather than searching for one definite answer. Every relationship is unique, and every person's story unfolds in its own way. Sometimes the greatest insights come not from certainty, but from quietly reflecting on what love, trust, and emotional growth have meant throughout your own life. Beneath the image of strength they show the world, and beneath the silence that fills the night, they stay awake while everyone else is sleeping. Their mind refuses to rest. Every quiet moment brings back the emotions they have tried so hard to ignore. They carry a weight inside that no one else can see. It is the weight of words they never spoke, feelings they never admitted, and love they have been too afraid to express. From the outside, they may seem calm and in control. Inside, they are struggling with a storm that never seems to end. They understand something that both comforts and frightens them. They know that taking even one small step toward you would change everything. It would change the way they see themselves. It would change the future they imagined. It would force them to leave behind the life they built around protecting their heart. They know there would be no pretending after that moment. Once they choose you, nothing inside them will remain the same. That is why they have stayed away. Their distance is not simply about space. It is a form of self-imposed exile. They believe they must calm the chaos inside themselves before standing in front of someone who brings them such deep peace. They keep convincing themselves that they need more time, more healing, more certainty, more confidence. They think they should become stronger before returning to you. Deep down, however, another part of them already knows the truth. Healing rarely arrives at the perfect moment. Life never becomes completely easy before asking someone to take a leap of faith. Waiting for everything to be perfect only keeps them standing in the same place while their heart quietly continues calling your name. Even from far away, they wonder about you more often than they admit. They think about whether your heart still has a place for them. They wonder if you still remember the connection that once felt impossible to explain. Sometimes they fear that you have finally closed the door. Sometimes they imagine that you have accepted the silence and continued with your life. Those thoughts stay with them far longer than anyone realizes. Yet one truth continues to rise above every fear they carry. They are not walking away forever. They are moving through an inner battle they never expected to face. They are trying to become someone who can finally meet love without running from it. The day will come when the pain of living without you becomes greater than the fear of opening their heart. When that day arrives, their choices will begin to change. To everyone around them, they may appear composed and unaffected. They smile when expected. They continue with daily responsibilities. They keep conversations light and avoid revealing what is happening inside. Most people never notice the sadness they carry beneath the surface. But every time the world grows quiet, the emotions return with full strength. When the noise of everyday life fades away, they begin thinking about you again. They do not remember you as a passing memory. They remember you as the place where they felt understood without having to explain themselves. They remember feeling lighter around you. They remember feeling accepted in ways they had not experienced before. Being with you felt less like meeting someone new and more like finding a place that had always been waiting for them. They are beginning to understand that many of their choices were guided by fears they never fully recognized. Hidden beliefs shaped the direction of their life. They quietly believed they were not worthy of lasting love. They believed they would eventually disappoint the people closest to them. Those beliefs convinced them that stepping away was safer than risking rejection. But no matter how strongly those fears speak, another voice inside continues pulling them toward you. It is gentle but impossible to silence. It reminds them that love built on honesty is worth the risk. It reminds them that running away has never brought them peace. It only delayed the moment they would eventually have to face. This period of distance has become a turning point in their life. It has forced them to question old habits and old beliefs that no longer serve them. For years, they avoided complete honesty because honesty required vulnerability. Vulnerability felt dangerous. It meant allowing another person to see the parts of themselves they worked so hard to hide. Now they are realizing that hiding has become more painful than being seen. They are slowly learning that true strength is not pretending everything is fine. True strength is admitting fear while choosing love anyway. Many nights pass without sleep. They stare into the darkness, thinking about conversations that never happened. They remember apologies they still owe. They remember truths they kept locked inside because they feared the consequences of speaking them aloud. Every memory becomes another reminder of what silence has cost. More than once they have picked up their phone with the intention of reaching out. They imagine what they would say if fear suddenly disappeared. They begin writing long messages filled with honesty. They explain everything they have carried inside for so long. They confess the regret they feel. They admit how deeply they miss you. Then doubt quietly appears. They read every sentence again. They wonder if the words are enough. They question whether they still have the right to enter your life. Slowly, they erase every line until nothing remains. The message disappears before it is ever sent. They repeat this cycle again and again. Hope encourages them to speak. Fear convinces them to stay silent. Neither side seems strong enough to fully win. Sometimes they simply look at your name without saying anything at all. They wonder what your reaction would be if they finally reached out. They imagine hearing your voice again. They picture seeing your smile. They think about everything they wish they had said before the distance became so great. Again and again they rehearse conversations inside their mind. They search for the perfect opening. They try to find words that can explain months or even years of silence. Yet every imagined conversation ends the same way. Fear asks one painful question. What if it is already too late? That single question holds them still. They worry that you may have continued your life without looking back. They wonder whether someone else has brought peace to your heart. They fear they may have waited so long that the opportunity has quietly slipped away forever. Even with those fears, hope refuses to disappear completely. Something inside them still believes the connection remains alive beneath the silence. They wonder if your heart still recognizes theirs even across the distance. They wonder if you still think about them during quiet moments without fully understanding why. There are nights when your name suddenly appears in their thoughts without warning. It happens while they are driving, sitting alone, or lying awake after midnight. They cannot explain why it happens. They only know that the feeling is real. Those moments leave them wondering if somewhere, somehow, you might be thinking about them too. They cannot move toward you while carrying heavy, unhealed pain. At this stage, they are learning new ways of thinking and behaving. They are slowly letting go of old patterns they once believed would stay with them forever. Life feels like it is pulling them out of their old identity and pushing them into a process of difficult but necessary growth. They were afraid of being loved because deep inside they did not feel worthy of it. Now they are being forced to face the darker parts of themselves, the parts Carl Jung described as the hidden, suppressed and weaker sides of personality that people usually avoid looking at. But something shifted because of you. You broke their old beliefs simply by being yourself. You made them feel safe enough to be human without pretending. And that feeling scared them more than anything they had experienced before. In their private moments, they keep remembering your calm presence. They recall the gentle way you spoke, the peace in your energy, and the understanding that came through even in your silence. You gave them something real, something steady, and they did not know how to fully accept it. They used to believe love had to be painful, uncertain, and full of emotional ups and downs. That was the only version of love they knew. But with you, it felt different. It felt stable in a way they were not prepared for. What they were truly afraid of was not losing you. It was the fear of disappointing you. It was the fear of being seen too clearly. They were afraid that if you looked closely enough, you would notice every flaw they were ashamed of. What they are slowly beginning to realize is that you never demanded perfection. You never asked them to be flawless or complete. Love was never about being perfect. It was about showing up honestly and being willing to stay real. Every day they stay away, they feel the weight of their choice. Every morning without you feels empty and confusing. Every night before sleep, your memory returns again. They are beginning to understand that connections like this do not appear often in life. Their distance is not protecting them. It is slowly hurting the very bond they are trying to avoid losing. They feel something inside them pushing them toward change. The connection is not fading. It is becoming stronger in a quiet and undeniable way. What they thought time would erase has only grown deeper. If someone reading this has ever experienced a deep soul connection that disappeared, they may understand this feeling. Life does not keep offering the same chances again and again. They are learning a difficult truth described by Carl Jung. Real awareness does not come without emotional pain. And through that process, one understanding is becoming stronger than fear or confusion. Healing cannot happen without truth, and they cannot move forward without courage. Their fear is slowly losing power. Their heart is slowly becoming stronger. The silence between you is starting to feel different. The distance is no longer as solid as it once was. Something inside them is preparing for the moment they stop running. When they finally turn around and face what they avoided, it will not be with confusion. It will be with awareness, honesty, and truth built through struggle. What they feel for you is not temporary. It is not imagination. It is not something that fades easily. It feels like something deeper, like a soul recognition, a connection that goes beyond time, distance, and silence. Soon the silence they once used for safety begins to feel too heavy. The distance they thought would help them think clearly now feels like a trap. Every day without you feels heavier than the last. Every moment of pretending feels harder to maintain. What they pushed down is rising again with more intensity. What they tried to ignore is now impossible to silence. They can feel change building inside them, like a turning point approaching. There is always a moment in life when staying the same becomes more painful than facing the unknown. They have reached that point. Their mind is tired of resisting something it cannot fully control. They are starting to realize they are not protecting themselves by staying away. They are slowly losing time, emotion, and parts of themselves. When everything becomes quiet, they find themselves thinking of you without intention. They reach for their phone without reason. They go back through old memories, remembering your laughter, your kindness, and the feeling of being close to you. They replay conversations they wish they had handled differently. They think about moments where fear spoke louder than honesty. Now they see clearly how they moved away from someone who truly understood them, someone who accepted them without conditions. Someone who made them feel seen in a way they had never felt before. They think about unfinished conversations and unspoken feelings. They imagine reaching out, and that thought brings both comfort and fear. They wonder how you would respond. They wonder if your voice would still carry warmth. They wonder if there is still space for them in your life, or if too much time has passed. Inside them, there is a constant struggle between regret and fear. They are beginning to understand that every time they ignore their feelings, they are going against their own heart. Every time they choose distance, they choose emotional pain. Every time they deny what they feel, they deny their own truth. They are tired of living in uncertainty. They are tired of carrying endless what-if thoughts. They are tired of only partially living. From a distance, they still observe your life quietly. They look for signs of you. They read your words carefully, searching for meaning. They wonder if you still think of them sometimes. Some days they feel certain that you do. Other days they fear they have become just a memory. But the pull between you never disappears. They are starting to understand something important. A real soul connection cannot be replaced. It cannot be erased by distance. It cannot be avoided forever. If you believe they will come back when they are ready, hold that thought. They have experienced enough emptiness to realize that avoiding truth for the sake of comfort only creates deeper pain over time. Life has been guiding them through small signs, moments that felt meaningful, and experiences that seemed too aligned to be random. Now they are finally paying attention. Because losing you has become something they cannot fully accept anymore. The shift is happening inside them. The movement from running away to returning is slowly beginning. They are seeing that their distance did not protect them. It slowly drained them. Healing is beginning because they are finally willing to face what they avoided. They are starting to accept their feelings without running from them. They are mentally preparing for a moment of return. They imagine finally speaking the words they kept inside for so long. I am sorry, I was not ready. I never stopped caring. They are beginning to understand that you are not replaceable. You are the one who awakened something in them that cannot return to sleep again. The realization is becoming stronger that waiting too long could lead to permanent regret, which feels heavier than fear itself. Every morning without you feels like a reminder of what fear caused them to lose. Silence did not reduce their feelings. It only allowed them to grow stronger over time. Distance did not help them forget. Instead, it made your memory clearer and their inner world more empty. They are coming back because real love does not give up easily. The pain of your absence has become too heavy to carry alone. When they finally stand before you again, it will not be with confusion. It will be with clarity and sincerity. They will choose honesty over fear. They will choose real connection over emotional distance.